Welcome. We are about to go ahead and get this thing started off right. If you have not already, please go ahead and grab yourself a beverage, get yourself some water, some tea, whatever works for you works for me. We're gonna go ahead and send the invite. What's going on is yours truly, Hassan Van Gora. Thank you so much for being in the space with me. Today we are a super duper duper special. Quick second. Right now, Amanda is joining. Um, and I'm just going to pray that it's not my Wi-Fi because I know right now I'm in Ghana. So I'm going to pray that it's not me. But if it is me, I'm sorry. If it is me, I'm sorry. Hold on, because Amanda, I don't see you right now. Oh, Lord. What's going on? All right, let me try to remove you and then invite you again. Oh, okay. All right. So y'all are seeing like I'm doing this for the first time. Uh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. So listen, once again, thank y'all so much for tuning in and rocking with Sonny B Speaks. And today we have our special guest. We got Amanda in the building. And so before we even get the formal introduction, listen, okay, if you are a parent or a caregiver watching this, you've probably had a long day. This live is for people who want to be parents, people who are parents, people who are caregivers. And so if you are not one of those, then it's okay for you not to watch. But if you are one of those, then I ask that you please stay. Everybody always be complaining like, yo, this parenting thing don't come with a manual. Here's the manual. You feel what I'm saying? Here's the manual. So look, go ahead and get yourself some water. I know you don't recognize this brand. I'm in Ghana right now. Okay, it is 12 a.m. Man, I just want to show y'all the dedication. Get y'all some tea if y'all need it. I can't tell if you fill it up with wine, but if you do, I can't judge. And I understand it's Monday. You probably had a long day. Before we even go any further, I just want to give you your flowers. Amanda, thank you so much for taking this time. I know that like I probably was like, nah, let's do it. Let's get on live. Let's get on live. But at the end of the day, like you actually answered the call and we're here, right? And we get a chance to discuss and talk about something that's really important, something that's super near and dear. And so I just don't want to take it for granted that you're here. And I just want to give you your flowers before we even go any further. All right. So let me pause there. Let it marinate.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then let's just kick it. You know what I'm saying? So how you feeling this Monday? Before we even get started with the introductions and the official program, how's your Monday been going so far?
Well, Monday's been wild, right? Monday can be wonderful and we can see it as an opportunity for growth, or it can drag you through the trenches. And so I'm choosing to say it's wonderful. It's busy, right? Lots of opportunity for growth.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, you want to hand me flowers for accepting this invite, but realistically, I feel like this has been coming down the pipe for a few years now. Having some one-on-one time with you, jumping on a live and digging in, and to see you, a world away with that big old smile on your face and that lively energy, like
Oh, thank you.
this is the perfect way to end a day for me. And for you, it's an extension of a day because you should have been in
Listen,
bed.
I should have been in bed, but like yo, that's just really my commitment to this work and being able to amplify voices that are really doing great work, right? Like I don't take it for granted that I have the opportunity to do that, right? And so it's I can sleep when the sleep comes. But right now, you feel what I'm saying? We got to get it in. So, little side note: Monday is the best day of the week for me. All right, I know everybody has their little qualms about it, but look, if you have a great Monday, you're probably gonna have a good Tuesday. I ain't say great, but good. And then Wednesday is like reflection day. So it's like, Thursday is Friday Junior. Friday is Friday. Saturday is Big Saturday. Sunday is rest and relax. You're getting ready for Monday. So I just feel like Monday has to be the best day of the week. And if you approach it that way, it has no choice but to have an amazing week. And so I know people are hearing that like, yeah, cut out the nonsense.
Well,
Yeah, so
if they're like me, they're like, wow, I need to hang out with this dude more. Like, I need more of
and
that.
and probably you do. Probably you do. It is contagious. It's going to rub off on you. It is enough for everybody to go around and have a little bit more to get to somebody else. You feel what I'm saying? Uh, and so, hey, what's going on? We got a few good people joining us. Thank you so much for being in this space with us. So I'm gonna just go over how we're going to spend our time because one thing about me, I love to respect people's time. Okay, so this is
Amen.
going to be at about an hour. um, and we're going to kick it off first with some introductions, get an opportunity to share the testimony, share a little bit about Amanda's bio, and then give an opportunity for her to share her story. And then we're going to allow you, the audience, to be able to ask any questions that you may ask. I've already prepared some questions, some potential pain points that you may have or you may not. And then we're going to share the end of our time for any like closing remarks or Q&A sessions that you may have, right? And so that is how we're going to be spending our time today. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with how this even came to be. Okay. Now, for many of you, you know that I'm already in Ghana and I've been in Ghana for the past 2 months. And one of the things I was really dealing with, I was being crippled by guilt, right? This is parent guilt that I'm so far away from my son. And it just, while I'm trying my best to create space and make room for him here, it was really, really hard for me to focus on what was really important because I am like missing my son. And so I had the chance to work with Amanda, and I just like Amanda, I don't know. I'm crippled. I need some help. I need some help on how to move forward because right now I'm really struggling in my parenting journey. And I think that journey word is important, right? Because this isn't something that like you don't get a chance to like take off the fatherhood hat or take off the motherhood hat, right? You are always wearing that hat. And so being able to share that, Amanda was like, well, first of all, guilt is not of God. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute, right? And it really changed my perception on just one that I felt this guilt, right? And what I thought about was how many parents actually feel this guilt. And it's not just me. And this idea of guilt not being of God actually helped me think about not like how do I not feel guilty, but how do I give grace to the situation that deserves and requires a lot of grace, right? The truth of the matter is, I am away, and that is the truth. And at this point, there's something that needs to, like, I need to one sit in that and be able to move forward where I am, but still acknowledge that, like, it is a little hard. And so Amanda had a chance to share that space and just kind of allow me to like just talk about what was going on. And one of the things, one of the gems within our 5 minute conversation, y'all, this wasn't like this wasn't her usual, this was like a 5-10 minute conversation, was values. And that was the first time as a father I really started to think about what are my values? What are the things that I want to pass on to my son that I didn't have a chance to think about because I got, I became a dad before I was really ready to become a father. And so values is something that requires a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. And that was something I never thought about before. And you were like, yo, wholeness is an important value to you. And I was like, it is. I started to begin to see a thread in all the things that I've done in my teaching style, in the way that I show up for others. My goal and my kind of what I'm led with is to be able to see the whole person. And I was like, oh snap, this is an important value, which led me on a journey to develop other values that I also thought were very important. And those values that I was able to create, I'm gonna tell you here, because this is kind of like a my gift back to you to let you know I did the homework. And so it is wholeness, courage, and connectedness. And I think those three will allow my son and any potential kids that I have to continue to live a very, very full life and to be a full human being. And so that's just a little bit about the testimony of me and Amanda. And Amanda's like, yo, I am a parent coach and I want to basically do a 12-week course because there are other parents that might need that same support. And I was like, please let me know what I could do to help make this happen. And I was just thinking about what I had access to, and I have access to a network, I have access to this voice, and I have access to this platform to just create space and opportunity for you to, if there's anybody I can get to like kind of just sign up or just inquire or send text messages, ask questions, I think I will be doing my part in aiding the Lord's work, right? Because that's really what like it is to be a miracle worker, somebody who's able to shift a mindset. So I just want to say thank you for really doing God's work and helping to shift my mindset. And I'm really prayerful that as we're on this live, you'll be able to encourage and motivate and shift other parents and caregivers' mindsets as well.
First of all, so that's the second time you've given me a free testimonial, and I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So I'm out
yeah.
here.
Just
I'm
sit
out
in it.
here, right?
Just sit in it. Yeah, yeah,
I think the coolest part about that is that um, for me, it's like I get to connect with you, right?
yeah,
Like I just get to be present and hold space for you and hear you, and then you offer some new perspective. And that's my favorite part about this
yeah,
whole thing, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to do it. I'm here to listen and then partner with you as you work out your journey. And I think that's the coolest part about this work.
yeah.
So thank you.
And like that's though, like, and I felt that, right? And I'm like, nah, like somebody else is probably going through what I'm going through or worse, right? Because there are different scenarios, different things that happen that cause the guilt or cause the anxiety or cause the that anxiousness, the fear, right? These are all things that really aren't of God. And I know I keep like bringing in God, but it's just more like these aren't the spaces that you want to live in, right? When we're
Yeah.
talking about having a peaceful parenting journey, like you can't have a peaceful parenting journey if you are constantly riddled by guilt. You can't have a peaceful parenting journey if you're constantly riddled by fear, if you're constantly anxious, if you're constantly worried about, where they are, what's going on. And so I wanted to go ahead and now just read a little bit about your bio so that, people can gain some insight on who you are. So I am going to be reading because I don't want to miss some really amazing, I don't want to miss it. And it's a little lengthy. So please enjoy this, the reading of my voice. So today we are thrilled to welcome Amanda, a certified parenting coach and former behavior intervention specialist who's revolutionizing the way families approach parenting and personal growth. Amanda's journey is both inspiring and relatable. As a mother of two, she understands firsthand the challenges and joys of parenting. Her commitment to fostering connection, joy, and happiness within her own family led her to reimagine her career and lifestyle, embracing home, education, and remote work. During the pandemic, Amanda pivoted from her career in behavior interventions to support entrepreneurs in educational spaces through her writing. And this transition sparked a passion for coaching and supporting others, which ultimately led her to discover her true calling, empowering parents to create peaceful and thriving homes. Now certified through the J Institute for Parenting, Amanda combines her expertise in behavior intervention, parent support, writing, and coaching to offer a unique 12-week program. And this transformative journey is designed to heal the caregiver, provide effective parenting strategies, foster stronger family relationships, center power within parenting. Amanda's clients are often anxious, tired parents who feel isolated in their struggles and worried about their children's future. Through her program, she guides them to forgive themselves, number one, prioritize self care, create safe spaces for their families to thrive, break down generational trauma. Come on, somebody. Prepare children for a future of healing. And what sets Amanda apart is her holistic approach. In her session, clients learn to censor themselves in the present moment, discuss weekly content, and receive personalized guidance and homework to reinforce their learning. That's super huge. Amanda's ultimate goal is to help parents move from a place of fear based parenting to one of empowerment, providing children with the freedom and autonomy they need to flourish. If you're ready to transform your parenting journey and create a more peaceful, connected home, you won't want to miss what Amanda has to share with us today. Amanda, with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. Thank you so much for being here today.
Ooh, geez, I gotta follow that. Okay.
And that's what I do. But you know what? I think let's make it a little bit easier of a transition. I guess Amanda, like, what's your story, and how did you get to this place where now you are helping parents to do this work?
Yeah. Well, you gave a lot of like the professional stuff and like how I ended up getting from a behavior analyst, where from those of you who don't know, behavior analysis is based in science. It's just behavior, what you can see. And literally I was trained. I was educated, trained, and then had to pass like a 360 question exam
Mm,
that said I will not think about what the child's thinking about. I will not
mm,
consider emotions. I will base every intervention on what only what I can see. So if a child tantrums, we base it on the kicking, screaming, and flopping on the floor, not the fact that they didn't sleep well last night because we didn't see that. So there's a lot of rigidity in behavior analysis that, I was in that field for over 10 years. And towards the end of it, I got to the point where
right, you got a thumbs up because you've been
thumbs
in it
up
for
from
10.
myself. Yeah. Um, but towards the end of it, I got to the point where I realized I'm just manipulating children. I'm helping adults manipulate children either at home or in the classroom. And it wasn't satisfying, but it didn't sit well in my soul. And so pandemic happened. I brought my kids home like everybody else. Um, and I started, educating my children at home, and I noticed these discrepancies in what I thought my children were doing versus what was reported back from the preschool. And I'm like, why are my children behaving this way? Like, they're my walking resume. Like, I'm a behavior analyst. My children are supposed to behave. And I noticed a lot of fear, a lot of guilt, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of uncertainty. And it just it was this domino effect of like, how can I say I'm a behavior analyst and watch my children misbehave? I started this journey trying to figure out, what am I doing? I don't want to sit here and manipulate my children all day, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and it it was a journey. Um, it was a lot of digging into my own insecurities, trying to figure out why it mattered to me so much to have a well-behaved child, trying to figure out what defines a well-behaved child, like what does that even mean? Um, and over the years, I started doing a bunch of self-help stuff. Like, what do you do with a rambunctious child? What do you do with a highly emotional child? How do you support children and raise independent kids? How do you ensure that when you're raising independent kids, you don't raise disrespectful children, right? So it's like trying to find
Yeah.
harmony, right? And it's wild. And a year and maybe about 2 years ago, I found the Jai Institute on Instagram, because how the algorithm works. You start looking up parenting stuff, and then it's everywhere. And I found the Jai Institute, and I started absorbing as much free content as I could. And they had an offer to sign up to become a coach. And I was like, do I pay to be coached, or do I take the journey and and, and pay to learn this thing that I can pass on and I can share? So I just dove in. I didn't really hesitate. It was a no-brainer, and I joined the program. And so fast forward, it's been, I did my I did my 8, 9 months with them. Um, I've had one-on-one clients. I've worked with a mother of two, a mother of a mother of two who ended up getting bonus kiddos,
Mm.
a dad of two, a dad of three, and I'm watching all of these people come to me with problems, and I'm like, number one, we're all feeling the same thing, so we're not alone. Our insecurities, like you said, the guilt, the fear, it's not isolated. It's not isolated incidents. We're all feeling the same things, but we don't talk about them. That's number one.
Mm.
Number two, when you start to dig in, you really unearth a whole bunch of generational trauma. And it's like time after time, we're trying to do the best with what we were given. And so our parents, right? And the grandparents, we're just trying to do better. So it's like, how do you heal those wounds so that we pass less of that trauma on to our kids? And then the third thing is like, how do we really prioritize self-care in ways that we don't feel guilty and selfish, right? And I think that's where you and I really connected, because for you to take this opportunity to go back to Ghana, and nourish yourself, and uh, and really take the time to heal and root yourself, that is such an honorable thing to do. And I wish more people acknowledge that and have the opportunity, right? Because unless you're whole, unless you are fueled and nourished, you can't take care of your children. You can't take care of your significant other. And let's be honest, pretty soon we're going to have to turn around and take care of our elders.
Mm.
So if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't stretch that thin.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here, right?
Yeah. Man, it's a couple things. Let me start with the last thing that you shared. When you become a parent, all the parents that I spoke to, when I became a parent or when I was about to become a parent, it was like, yo, it's them over everything. It's them, and then it's me, right? And you're offering something that isn't that doesn't seem favorable to everybody, or I don't know if favorable is the right word, but somebody is going to disagree with that, right? Like, nah, I gave birth to these kids. It's about them first. I got to make sure that they good. I got to make sure that they got what they need. I got to make sure that they eat before I eat. How do you wrestle with like knowing when to lean in on you first, and then when to lean in on them first? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm getting too excited, but but I'm curious on if you could just share a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, goes back to the airplane, right? You got to put your oxygen mask on first, right? And so the first thing you have to do is figure out what are those small things that you can do every day that nourish you, right? That fuel you. And I am the classic people pleaser. I have been my whole life. So giving birth to children just made it magnify. Like I want to do everything for them. I want to be there from sun up to sundown for them. And so finding that balance doesn't necessarily mean I have more hours in my day for myself
Mm.
than I give to them, but it means I get up at 6 when I know they get up at 7, and I have that cup of coffee, and I spend time in my word, and I journal. Oh, I journal all the time, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle of the day, I make sure that I spend time with them, and I like front load them with that positive attention and a little bit of love and snuggling, and I play with them and I get silly with them, and then I tell them, okay, mommy's gonna take a break, and I go
Mm.
read, or I go work out, or I put music on, and I spend a little time to reset myself, and I do the same thing at night. So I literally I just started going back to it because they needed more of me. So I literally lay in bed with them. And mine are 6 and almost 8. But I will lay in bed with them and pray and sing the same song that I've sung to them since they were
Yeah.
newborns, right? And silly and do that little pillow talk thing. And then I hand them over a book. I put them to bed and then I go read my book.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not necessarily about giving so much of myself that I drain me. That's not going to help anyone.
Yeah.
But when I'm with them, I'm present. And that's what matters most. When you're with them, give them all of you. And then
Mm-hmm.
recharge yourself. You have to recharge yourself because they're insatiable, right? Think of
Yeah. They're gonna keep wanting more and more and more and more and more.
listen,
Yeah.
listen. I'm 36. I still want more and more from my parents.
Mm.
I see my dad. I'm like,
Mm.
Daddy, like, come on. That doesn't go away. I'm with my mom. I'm like, oh yeah, mom, let's have coffee.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't go away. And so if you think about it, my parents in their 60s, I'm the last of 7.
Poof.
I'm the last of 7.
Boy, they said some
By the
of me like it.
by the time they get to me, what energy do they have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like my parents are they're not like these this unending well of uh of attention and love and compassion, but they had to find ways to nourish themselves so they could keep giving us, so they can keep fueling us, and that's what I'm learning. And so
Yeah.
when I tell people self-care is important, prioritize self-care, that's what I'm talking about. How do you fuel yourself? How do you nourish yourself so that you can actually turn around and nourish your children?
Yeah. We gonna get more to like the possible pain points that parents have in a second, but I still want to kind of like pull out this story a little bit, and you shared a little bit about like you said they're my walking resume. Um, like your children are your walking resume. I think a lot of people can identify with that, but I kind of want to gain your story within that. Just what does that mean for you, and how did yeah, like how do you get to a point where you can detach your kids from like who you are, right? Because I'm sure you were your parents' walking resume, and you've done things that that would have got you fired if they could fire you, right? So just talk to me a little bit about your journey uh, and how that was for you.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I definitely wasn't an angel. I mean, I wasn't.
The last
Let's be honest.
the last borns are never happy.
Let's just say it was a good thing there was no such thing as social media when I was growing up
Facts.
because nobody could post me. So
Yeah.
thank God for that. Um, but at least in the behavior field, right? We and I've heard educators say it too, but when you work with a professional in this field and they're talking about their kids, one of two things happen. They're the worst kid in the class or they're the best kid in the class,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can either be the professional that goes to work all day and gives it your all and comes home and doesn't pay attention to your kids and then they're acting out, or you could give it your all at work all day, come home and you pour into your kids so much that they're the absolute perfect kid. That's how behaviorists look at it. And for the longest time, I said, I will not have the worst kid in class. I will have the perfect kid. And I
Mm-hmm.
just did everything I could to make sure I had the perfect kid. And so my resume had to be perfect. They had to listen when they were told to listen. They had to behave. They had to, have manners and be kind to their peers. And they had to do everything right. And I realized that not only did I put this anxious, frustrating pressure on myself, but I was like debilitating my kids with this need to reach perfection,
Yeah.
right? What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
that even mean? So now I say I am a recovering helicopter mom, right? Because everything in me was like, no, I have to make sure they're doing it right. And now I'm like, I am hanging up my pilot's hat and I'm taking off the badge and I'm not a helicopter parent anymore. I'm going to let them live.
Yikes. I'm saying yikes because I want to be a helicopter dad so bad. I want to be a helicopter. I'm gonna keep it a band with you. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm African. Stop playing. I'm
I know.
African. I want to be a helicopter dad so bad. What you mean, Quest? Not listen. What you mean he ain't playing the piano? What you mean he ain't reading 6 books a day?
Yeah.
What you mean? He back talking to teacher. Let me tell you something. I want to be a helicopter parent. Like
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
because I don't. I'm telling you right now. It's almost seems like I am trying to. And here's the battle, right? And if you are a parent watching this, the battle is I want my kids to have as many experiences as possible. How do I recognize, like, or how do I deal with? I want my kids to be able to have a little bit of everything, so that when they old enough, right, and they can say like that they play the piano, or they can say that they've traveled this place, or they can say that they've gained all these experiences while allowing them to just play. Like I need
Yeah.
help,
Yeah.
help.
So this is where we go back to family values, right?
Mm,
And every time I say this, every single person I worked with has like a list of 15 values. I'm like, no, you need to prioritize. And by definition, a priority is one. So, like,
mm.
I give, I'm flexible. I give you 3 to 5. Pick
I
three to
got
five.
3.
There you go. That's reasonable, right? That's
Yeah, yeah,
reasonable.
yeah.
But then you have to put one up top.
Mm,
And so when I talk to my kiddos, and mind you, they're 6 and 8, so we talk about family values together. So younger kids, they might not be ready, and you just kind of tell them, right? But I think I told you this. Our family values are rooted in the fruits of the spirit, right? Peace, love, joy, loving kindness, gentleness. And so for now, for this season in our life, we're prioritizing kindness, love, gentleness. That's what we're prioritizing. And so everything we do goes back to those values. And as long as my kids are being kind, they're leading with love, and they're being gentle, I back off.
mm.
I don't nitpick anymore, which is so incredibly hard.
What you mean? Get out.
Listen, listen. I
Get out. Didn't I
I
tell you to stop?
listen. My complexion, I look really young, but at my heart, I am very old. I'm a 93-year-old Cape Verdean woman, and I'm getting ready to nitpick everything all the time. So if I keep it to those 3 values, the 3 that we talk about every day,
Yeah.
it relieves some of the pressure off of me.
Mm,
And so when they come and they bicker, I ask them, are you being kind to your sibling?
mm,
Are you showing them big love? Are you being gentle? And if they say no, I say, well, what are you going to do about that?
mm, mm. Two things, because I know where it's about to go. One of the things that I was a parent before I was ready,
Yeah.
and what people are seeing right now is my story of fatherhood. We're seeing me building the story of fatherhood, right? So I want to know what is the story of how you got to those values, because it almost I almost feel like, damn, I wish I would have gotten to those values before I had a kid,
Mm.
and not have to learn how to have those values when I became a parent. So how did you, what was the story, or like what was the journey that you went on in order to get those values? And how do we, if we are young parents, or if we are, about to be parents, how can we do that journey so that by the time we're ready to like really have that, um, we also have our core values, and they're not just open, like, Christian values, like, but like they're actually like core to your home environment, core to you and who you are, right? So how do we yeah, so what's your story? And
Hmm.
then how do we kind of develop the story to gain our own core
Yeah,
values?
yeah. And a lot of my values come from the Catholic Church, right? I was raised in the
Okay.
Catholic Church, and I think I was about 10 years old, maybe 9, 10 years old, when my family we stepped away, um, and we started studying at home.
Mm,
And so, when the formative years of your life are embedded in religion, there were some of those things that just stay with you.
mm,
And now, fast forward, I'm in my 30s. I spent my 31st year studying Proverbs 31.
mm,
How do I be a Proverbs 31 wife, right? How do I take care of my home? How do I take care of my family? How do I make sure that my family turns to me and they're proud of me and they're blessed by
mm,
me?
mm.
And I think it goes back to that people pleaser aspect of my personality, where I wanted to make sure that everyone around me was taken care of. And it's not a bad thing. People pleasers get a bad rap.
I.
Um, we get a bad rap, and it, you know, in a selfish way, people pleasers can be self-serving because we're trying to manipulate people to love us. Um, and I think figuring out like, when do I become self-serving versus when am I serving others out of joy, out of love? That's where I found what my real values are, right? Like, yeah, I want to cook and clean for my kids and make bread from scratch because I love them. But am I trying to convince them to think that I'm the best person in the world, or am I just trying to show them love,
Mm, mm,
right? I want my children to grow up and be productive, successful, healthy, vibrant, self self-loving, free-thinking members of society. How much is that how much of that is me trying to brag versus prepare my kids so that they can be successful in the world?
mm,
And so that's the difference between like when I was a helicopter parent, self-serving, making sure my resume was polished and looked good, versus how do I prepare my children so that they can go out into the world and be free thinkers and have autonomy, right? And that's where I found out my values. Because did I really value my children behaving, or did I really just want them to be respectful members of society? I wanted them to be respectful. Did I really need them to like have a clean face and ironed clothes? Or did I want them to enjoy life and be fun and express themselves? What do I really want?
mm.
And so now, as I back off, you'll see my daughter in 17 patterns and tutus and sparkles. And I'm like, that doesn't look right, but it looks good on you. So let's just go, like, and it's about finding those values, because if she's wearing 17 different patterns, she's still being kind. She's
Mm,
still loving big, right? She still is like living up to those core values of being gentle and loving and being kind. So why do I care if she's wearing 17 patterns? I don't. So let her live. This is their only childhood.
but Amanda, why the hell? Nah, but like, but I feel you though. I think let me really quick. I'm about to go to the first off for everybody that's joining. Y'all can see this is we just talking that talk. If y'all have like questions or things that y'all want to like expand on, please go ahead and put it in the chat. Like, but what I'm about to do in a quick second is I'm about to just rattle off some pain points. I'm about to, put on my acting voice, and I'm gonna pretend I'm different parents and different things that they go through, right? And so, all right, I am a
Hmm.
parent, and I am struggling to connect with my kid. Like I love my kid, but it be like the littlest thing, and I just can't let it go.
Mm,
Help.
mm. All right. For connection, especially for connection, the first thing I want to ask is why? I'm going to get curious with you, just like I get curious with my kids. Why does that little thing bother you? Does it actually bother you? Or does it bother your mom or dad?
Mm,
Does it bother you? Or did it bother some teacher from the third grade that told you it was a problem?
mm,
Does it bother you? Or did your big brother, your big sister, your big cousin punk you on that? And so now it bothers you. Because if it doesn't actually bother you, why are we putting that pressure on your kid? And if it does bother you, but it doesn't bother them, don't you think we should bring
mm.
that to the table and talk about it?
You're really nice. You're really cool. All right, all right, all right. Next turn. Next turn.
All right.
Uh, I am a parent and I am second guessing everything. Like, I, I don't know if I want them to be in sports. I don't know if I want them to be in music. I don't know if I want them to go to the private school. I don't know if I want them to go to the public school. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing by my kid. And it feels like I don't know what the right thing is. I'm a Libra. It's Libra season. You feel what I'm saying? Um,
Wow.
help.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, so we're going to get curious and we're going to go back to values, right? So why are you second guessing yourself? At what point in your life did you stop trusting your own instinct, right? Who's doing that to you? Again, is it your parents? Is it your grandparents? Is it the teacher? Is it the cousin? And again, I love to journal, so I'm going to say let's go back to journaling. If that's, old Miss Crabtree who's putting those things on you, who's making you second, let's write her a letter, okay? Because she doesn't really, if she's not feeding your baby, if she's not paying your bills, she doesn't have a say in this. So let's write her a letter. Let's journal about it, fold it up, put it away. That's no longer an issue. You're the parent. Come to the table. You have, right? You have all the skills you need, and if you don't have it, you have the capacity to learn it. So let's stop doubting yourself. We're not gonna. That's not going to be an option, and let's figure this out. Now let's look at your values. Do you value your children having exposure to a bunch of activities? Do you want them in music and sports, and you want them to be in clubs? All right. Well, let's bring them to the table and let's talk about it. What do they want to do? And teach them the value of experience. Teach them the values of team sports, of being a part of clubs, and then see what they're interested in. Because a child who wants to do it is going to put their effort in it. A child who's just doing it to appease you, that's a waste of time and money anyway, right?
Wow. Okay. We're gonna do two more.
All right.
The 40-hour work week. It doesn't give me enough time to actually bond with my kids. And man, to keep it a being with you, I gotta make this money. I gotta make this money. So what can I do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we all work. And what works for me to bond with my kids isn't necessarily going to work for you. But I am going to ask you this. How do you like to play? When do you feel playful? What brings you joy? What nourishes you? And do the same with your kiddo, right? I have one of each. So I have a little girl who loves to dance and I have a little boy who loves to battle and fight. And my version of so
Right.
every day we read before bed and we're bonding. Every day we battle. Either we're running outside and I have asthma, so like if they get me running, it's a good day for them. But we battle outside, we battle with Legos, we grab, we'll even draw battles. We'll draw out battles, whatever, because that's what he loves to do. And then we also play baby dolls and we dance and we put on makeup and we do these crazy things and we do nails. And it's not even like a long thing. It's like 15 minutes. 15 minutes we do 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of battle, and 5 minutes of makeup. But when I'm there, when we're together, I'm present. And they're getting all of that time, all of my attention for that time. And so even if you're working 40 and you're commuting 20 and you get home and you're like dog tired, start with just something small. Start with like 5 minutes of conversation, some type of play. Grab a board game, grab some conversation cards. I would show you, but my phone is leaning on my conversation cards. We have conversation cards on the dinner table.
Right.
They stay right on the table. We have arts and crafts always available so we can be silly with it. But you've got to figure out at 20 something, 30 something, 40 something, 57 something, whatever you are, how do you like to play? And invite your kid in. And then when they invite you, accept the invitation.
Mm, mm. Oh man. And then just just really quick for the sake of time, I really want to give. I was going to give one more, but I actually think it'll be. This is a good pause point. Wow, wow. Um, so let's talk a little bit about like this is the work that you do, right? How would this translate into this 12-week course? What does it look like to have time and sit down with you and really kind of like go through these different pain points that a parent can have?
Yeah. So for the 12-week course, I use the Jive Parenting Program. And so each week highlights a different aspect of this healthy communication, emotional intelligence, mindset, shifting your mindset, nervous system science, self-care, generational trauma, the power of play, connection through storytelling. There's all these different aspects that they have in their curriculum that we go through. And so every week for the 12 weeks, you access a video that's from one of the best coaches. She's my coach, Rebecca. She's amazing. So you do a video with Rebecca. You have a workbook chapter that you work on, and then we meet. And my goal for this next beta group is to build small pods, 4 people. So I'll be the fifth, but 4 parents in a virtual pod where we can go through our journaling, we can go through our workbooks, and we can talk about what we're experiencing, and build kind of an affinity space. And each week, we'll work through the content and practice and have homework and really put these things that we're learning to work. Um, and specifically for this cohort, I'm also going to add on some one-on-one sessions because I want it to stick. And I want people to come to the group session and be vulnerable and learn. But I also want to give people space, once a month, maybe twice a month, to do a one-on-one and just like truly be vulnerable and say the things that you might not want to say in front of other people. And there's
Because you don't want to say, man, kids, man, you can't say that in front.
no, man, you can't be like, you know what I did? I messed up last night. I wasn't so peaceful. You can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't,
Right.
right? But it's I want to create that space where we can come together because we're not alone, and also honor that private time that you might need to just like put it all out on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I really value when you mentioning that, and it was actually the pain point I was going to say, but it sounds like you're already thinking about that, which is really parenting in community. I think right now a lot of us are parenting in isolation, and so the question becomes like, well, it's not really a question, but I'm just thank you for really thinking about how we can parent in a community and actually see that like, oh, I'm not the only parent who's struggling. I am not the only parent who's confused. I am not the only parent who does not have the answers to this whole parenting thing. And we are trying our best to solve this manual together, right? And like the goal is that when your kid is like 20, they don't say they hate you.
Yep.
That's I think that's what everybody's planning for, right? So that when your kid is 20, 25, or they have their own kids, they're not going through like wondering how terrible of a person that you were, and they actually still end up liking you. And so I want to reserve this space really quick to just really think about what are some like possible Q&A questions that people may have. So like, the website, how do they join, how do they get in contact with you, possible next steps. And I actually think we may be able to close out about 5 minutes early. So anybody who's watching this who wasn't able to be on the live, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this. But I want to give you the floor to just share any last minute like Q&As that people can use to get in contact with you or gather any more information.
Yeah, I think the biggest question I get, because again, I went from behavior analyst, super like hyper vigilant parenting
Mm.
to as loose as I can handle, relatively quickly. And so I think the biggest question I get is like, so you let your kids walk all over you now? I'm like, no, like, like just because I don't scream at my kids or I don't threaten them, you know, like, because I've been there. But like, just because I promised my children I wouldn't do that, doesn't mean they walk all over me. Um, I'm I've made a commitment to my children to parent out of respect,
Mm.
and I always tell people this story. I'm sure it's on Instagram and other places, but when my son, who will be 8 next month, was 3 or 4, I popped his behind, and I was crying, and I was crying. He was out of diapers, so it wasn't like padded butt. Like I popped him, and he goes, and I'm crying, and he's crying, and he's like, "Why are you crying, mommy?" And I go, "Cause it hurts me to pop you." And he goes, "It's okay, mommy. It didn't hurt that bad anyway." So I'm like, why am I popping you?
Boy, if I don't, boy, if you don't get
I know.
talk about some damn thing. Now I'm
I'm
mad. Now I gotta pop you again just to make sure. Now.
I'm right, and I'm like, so, and that's it. So I'm like, do I just start hitting him harder? Like,
Mm,
how does that make sense? Like, I'm crying, he's not getting it. It's not deterring the behavior. It's not changing the behavior. He's just like he's trying to please me. Like, oh, mom, it's okay. Don't worry. It didn't hurt. So then why are we doing this?
wow.
And like
Wow.
that really triggered something in me. So I'm like, if my 4-year-old can see that it's not working, what does it say about me that I keep doing it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had a conference call with my 4-year-old and basically decided that popping behind doesn't work, but talking does. And so by respectfully parenting my kid and teaching them that like we don't put our hands on other people, so I'm not going to put my hands on you, doesn't give them space to walk all over me, but it gives them space to share their emotions freely, to come to me when they disagree with me, to communicate when they're struggling. And when I discipline, because I do discipline my children, it looks different, but it's more effective.
Mm.
And so even right now, we've been on this call for an hour, and my kids. They're always like, "Hi, honey."
Yeah.
They're
Hey,
always in the
what's up?
screen.
What's going on?
Yep.
Yeah.
But I told them, I said, "Hey, I have a really important call tonight, and I'm gonna need you guys to occupy yourselves. And please don't interrupt me." What happens if we interrupt you? Well, if you interrupt me, then we're gonna have to talk about it, and you're gonna miss out on something. What do you mean? Well, if you're gonna interrupt my call, I'm gonna interrupt your screen time.
Oh.
right? So do they
Yeah.
walk all over
Mhm.
me? No. Do I probably talk to my 6 and 8 year old more than most people talk to their teenagers? Yes. But it's all a part of the plan. Because when they're
Yeah.
20 and they're 25 and their little kid problems turn into big kid problems, I want them to still talk to me. I want them to still come to me. And so, that being said, if you all would like to talk to me, um, you can look in my bio on Instagram. I set up my link tree today so that you could learn more about the program or you could book with me directly on my calendar and we can talk about these upcoming cohorts. My goal is to start 2 in November and 2 in January, and I want to do small pods. So I'm trying to max it out at 4. So if I have to start more groups, I will. But I'm looking to start the first week in November and start rolling them out slowly from there. So if you'd like to talk about what the program would look like in depth or uh, just pick my brain, like I'd love to jump on a call with any parents who are interested. Um, I love these conversations because it really shapes the way I support other parents. So yeah, let's connect.
Listen, you have just witnessed an amazing, amazing conversation. Sonny B speaks with the Amanda Darling. And thank you so much for just tuning in. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. We hope that you have enjoyed this presentation. Um, I'm like signing off like it's a radio
I
show.
know.
So thanks so much for tuning in. And with that, we just want to just encourage you to just continue to live in peace, love, and light. And if you have any parenting questions whatsoever, please reach out to Amanda. If you are somebody who has a business idea, something that you want me to amplify, listen, I'm your guy. I would love to be the person that just speaks with you one on one and just gives you an opportunity to share on this platform just what you want to share with the world. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Peace.